In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful, praise be to Allah, who hath sent to his servant the book, and hath allowed therein no crookedness. He had made it straight and clear, in order that he may warn the godless of a terrible punishment from him, and that he may give glad tidings to the believers who work righteous deeds, that they shall have a goodly reward, wherein they shall remain forever. Further, that he may warn those also who say, Allah hath begotten a son. No knowledge have they of such a thing, nor had their fathers. It is a grievous thing that issues from their mouths as a saying. What they say is nothing but falsehood. Thou wouldst only perchance fret thyself to death, following after them in grief, if they believe not in this message. That which is on earth we have made, but as a glittering show for the earth, in order that we may test them as to which of them are best in conduct. Verily, what is on earth we shall make but as dust and dry soil, without growth or herbage. Or dost thou reflect that the companions of the cave and of the inscription were wonders among our signs? Behold, the youths betook themselves to the cave. They said, Our Lord, bestow on us mercy from thyself, and dispose of our affair for us in the right way. Then we drew a veil over their ears for a number of years in the cave, so that they heard not. Then we roused them in order to test which of the two parties was best at calculating the term of years they had tarried. We relate to thee their story. In truth, they were youths who believed in their Lord, and we advanced them in guidance. We gave strength to their hearts. Behold, they stood up and said, Our Lord is the Lord of the heavens and of the earth. Never shall we call upon any God other than him. If we did, we should indeed have uttered an enormity. These our people have taken for worship gods other than him. Why do they not bring forward an authority clear and convincing for what they do? Who doth more wrong than such as invent a falsehood against Allah? When you turn away from them and the things they worship other than Allah, betake yourselves to the cave. Your Lord will shower his mercies on you and dispose of your affair towards comfort and ease. Thou wouldst have seen the sun when it rose, declining to the right from their cave, and when it set, turning away from them to the left, while they lay in the open space in the midst of the cave. Such are among the signs of Allah. He whom Allah guides is rightly guided, but he whom Allah leaves to stray, for him wilt thou find no protector to lead him to the right way. Thou wouldst have deemed them awake whilst they were asleep, and we turned them on their right side and on their left side, their dog stretching forth his two forelegs on the threshold. If thou hadst come upon them, thou wouldst have certainly turned back from them in flight, and would certainly have been filled with terror of them. Such being their state, we raised them up from sleep, that they might question each other. Said one of them, How long have ye stayed here? They said, We have stayed perhaps a day, or part of a day, at length. They all said, Allah alone knows best how long ye have stayed here. Now send ye, then, one of you with this money of yours to the town, Let him find out which is the best food to be had, and bring some to you, that ye may satisfy your hunger therewith, and let him behave with care and courtesy, and let him not inform anyone about you. For if they should come upon you, they would stone you or force you to return to their cult, and in that case you would never attain prosperity. Thus did we make their case known to the people, that they might know that the promise of Allah is true, and that there can be no doubt about the hour of judgment. Behold, they dispute among themselves as to their affair. Some said, construct a building over them. Their Lord knows best about them. Those who prevailed over their affair said, let us surely build a place of worship over them. Some say they were 3, the dog being the 4th among them. Others say they were 5, the dog being the 6th, doubtfully guessing at the unknown. Yet others say they were 7, the dog being the 8th. Say thou, my Lord knoweth best their number. It is but few that know their real case. Enter not, therefore, into controversies concerning them, except on a matter that is clear, nor consult any of them about the affairs of the sleepers. True knowledge is with Allah alone. We are not to dispute on matters of conjecture, but to rely on the truth that comes from Allah, as in the parable. The man who piles up wealth and is puffed up with the world's goods, despising those otherwise endowed, will come to an evil end, for his hopes were not built on Allah. Nor say of anything, I shall be sure to do so and so tomorrow, without adding, so please Allah. And call thy Lord to mind when thou forgettest, and say, I hope that my Lord will guide me even closer, even than this, to the right road. So they stayed in the cave 300 years, and some, and 9 more. Say, Allah knows best how long they stayed. With him is the knowledge of the secrets of the heavens and the earth, how clearly he sees, how finely he hears everything. They have no protector other than him, nor does he share his command with any person whatsoever. And recite and teach what has been revealed to thee of the book of thy Lord. None can change his words, and none wilt thou find as a refuge other than him. And keep thy soul content, and those who call on their Lord morning and evening, seeking his face, and let not thine eyes pass beyond them, seeking the pomp and glitter of this life, nor obey any whose heart we have permitted to neglect the remembrance of us, one who follows his own desires, whose case has gone beyond all bounds. Say the truth is from your Lord. Let him who will believe, and let him who will reject it. For the wrongdoers we have prepared a fire, whose smoke and flames, like the walls and roof of a tent, will hem them in. If they implore relief, they will be granted water like melted brass that will scald their faces. How dreadful the drink, how uncomfortable a couch to recline on. As to those who believe and work righteousness, verily, we shall not suffer to perish the reward of any who do a single righteous deed. For them will be gardens of eternity. Beneath them rivers will flow. They will be adorned therein with bracelets of gold, and they will wear green garments of fine silk and heavy brocade. They will recline therein on the raised thrones. How good the recompense! How beautiful a couch to recline on! Set forth to them the parable of 2 men. For one of them we provided 2 gardens of grapevines, and surrounded them with date palms, and between the 2 we placed cornfields. Each of those gardens brought forth its produce, and failed not in the least. Therein, in the midst of them, we caused a river to flow. Abundant was the produce. This man had, he said to his companion in the course of a mutual argument, more wealth have I than you, and more honor and power in my following of men. He went into the garden in a state of mind unjust to his soul. He said, I deem not that this will ever perish, nor do I deem that the hour of judgment will ever come. Even if I am brought back to my Lord, I shall surely find there something better in exchange. His companion said to him in the course of the argument with him, Dost thou deny him who created thee out of the dust, then out of a sperm drop, then fashioned thee into a man? But I think, for my part, that he is Allah, my Lord, and none shall I associate with my Lord. Why didst thou not, as thou goest into thy garden, say, Allah's will be done? There is no power but with Allah. If thou dost see me less than thee in wealth and sons, it may be that my Lord will give me something better than thy garden, and that he will send on thy garden thunderbolts by way of reckoning from heaven, making it but slippery sand. Or the water of the garden will run off underground, so that thou wilt never be able to find it. So his fruits and enjoyment were encompassed with ruin, and he remained twisting and turning his hands over what he had spent on his property, which had now tumbled to pieces to its very foundations, and he could only say, Woe is me! Would I had never ascribed partners to my Lord and cherisher, nor had he numbers to help him against Allah, nor was he able to deliver himself. There, the only protection comes from Allah, the True One. He is the best to reward and the best to give success. The life of this world is ephemeral, and its gains will not last. Good deeds are the best of possessions in Allah's sight. All will be leveled up on the day of judgment, and a new order created on the basis of truth according to the book of deeds. Pride is the root of evil, rebellion, and wrong. Who will choose evil ones in preference to Allah? Let us accept truth, for though falsehood may flourish for a time, it must perish in the end. Set forth to them the similitude of the life of this world. It is like the rain which we send down from the skies. The earth's vegetation absorbs it, but soon it becomes dry stubble, which the winds do scatter. It is only Allah who prevails over all things. Wealth and children are allurements of the life of this world, but the things that endure, good deeds, are best in the sight of thy Lord, as rewards, and best, the foundation for hopes. One day we shall remove the mountains, and thou wilt see the earth as a level stretch, and we shall gather them all together, nor shall we leave out any one of them, and they will be marshaled before thy Lord in ranks, with the announcement, Now have you come to us, bare, as we created you. First, you thought we shall not fulfill the appointment made to you to meet us? And the book of deeds will be placed before you, and thou wilt see the sinful in great terror because of what is recorded therein. They will say, woe to us! What a book is this! It leaves out nothing small or great, but takes account thereof. They will find all that they did placed before them, and not one will thy Lord treat with injustice. Behold, we said to the angels, Bow down to Adam. They bowed down, except Iblis. He was one of the jinns, and he broke the command of his Lord. Will ye then take him and his progeny as protectors rather than me, and they are enemies to you? Evil would be the exchange for the wrongdoers. I call them not to witness the creation of the heavens and the earth, nor even their own creation, nor is it for me to take as helpers such as lead men astray. One day he will say, Call on those whom you thought to be my partners, and they will call on them, but they will not listen to them, and we shall make for them a place of common perdition. And the sinful shall see the fire and apprehend that they have to fall therein. No means will they find to turn away therefrom. We have explained in detail in this Quran, for the benefit of humankind, every kind of similitude. But human is in most things contentious. And what is there to keep back humans from believing now that guidance has come to them, nor from praying for forgiveness from their Lord, but that they ask that the ways of the ancients be repeated. With them are the wrath be brought to them face to face. We only send the messengers to give glad tidings and to give warnings, but the unbelievers dispute with vain arguments in order therewith to weaken the truth, and they treat my sign as a jest, as also the fact that they are warned. And who doth more wrong than one who is reminded of the signs of his Lord, but turns away from them, forgetting the deeds which his hands have sent forth? Verily, we have set veils over their hearts, lest they should understand this, and over their ears deafness. If thou callest them to guidance, even then will they never accept guidance. But your Lord is most forgiving, full of mercy. If he were to call them at once to account for what they had earned, then surely he would have hastened their punishment. But they have their appointed time, beyond which they will find no refuge. Such were the populations we destroyed when they committed iniquities, but we fixed an appointed time for their destruction. Moses was up against mysteries, which he wanted to explore. He searched out a man endowed with knowledge, derived from the divine springs from which flow the paradoxes of life. He has shown 3 such paradoxes and how human impatience is inconsistent with their true understanding. The highest knowledge comes not except by divine gift, and a constant, patient striving with faith to apprehend something of the purpose of the all-wise Allah. Behold, Moses said to his attendant, I will not give up until I reach the junction of the 2 seas, or until I spend years and years in travel. But when they reached the junction, they forgot about their fish, which took its course through the sea, straight as in a tunnel. When they had passed on some distance, Moses said to his attendant, Bring us our early meal. Truly, we have suffered much fatigue at this stage of our journey. He replied, Sawest thou what happened when we betook ourselves to the rock? I did indeed forget about the fish. None but Shaitan made me forget to tell you about it. It took its course through the sea in a marvelous way. Moses said, That was what we were seeking after. So they went back. On their footsteps, following the path they had come, so they found one of our servants, on whom we had bestowed mercy from ourselves, and whom we had taught knowledge from our own presence. Moses said to him, May I follow thee on the footing that thou teach me something of the higher truth which thou hast been taught? The other said, Verily, thou wilt not be able to have patience with me. And how canst thou have patience about things about which thy understanding is not complete? Moses said, Thou wilt find me, if Allah so will, truly patient, nor shall I disobey thee in aught. The other said, If then thou wouldst follow me, ask me no questions about anything until I myself speak to thee concerning it. So they both proceeded until when they were in the boat, he scuttled it. Said Moses, Hast thou scuttled it in order to drown those in it? Truly a strange thing hast thou done. He answered, Did I not tell thee that thou canst have no patience with me? Moses said, Rebuke me not for forgetting, nor grieve me by raising difficulties in my case. Then they proceeded, until when they met a young man, he slew him. Moses said, Hast thou slain an innocent person who had slain none? Truly a foul, unheard of thing hast thou done. He answered, Did I not tell thee that thou canst have no patience with me? Moses said, If ever I ask thee about anything after this, keep me not in thy company, then wouldst thou have received full excuse from my side. Then they proceeded until when they came to the inhabitants of a town, they asked them for food, but they refused them hospitality. They found there a wall on the point of falling down, but he set it up straight. Moses said, If thou hadst wished, surely thou couldst have exacted some recompense for it. He answered, This is the parting between me and thee. Now will I tell thee the interpretation of those things over which thou wast unable to hold patience. As for the boat, it belonged to certain men in dire want. They plied on the water. I but wish to render it unserviceable, for there was after them a certain king who seized on every boat by force. As for the youth, his parents were people of faith, and we feared that he would grieve them by obstinate rebellion and ingratitude to Allah and man. So we desired that their Lord would give them in exchange a son better in purity of conduct and closer in affection. As for the wall, it belonged to 2 youths, orphans in the town. There was beneath it a buried treasure to which they were entitled. Their father had been a righteous man. So their Lord desired that they should attain their age of full strength and get out their treasure, a mercy and favor from thy Lord. I did it not on my own accord. Such is the interpretation of those things over which thou wast unable to hold patience. 3 episodes in the life of a great king. Dulkainum illustrated how power and opportunities should be used in the service of Allah. He punished the guilty indeed, but was kind to the righteous. He left primitive people their freedom of life, and he protected industrious people from grasping neighbors. But he relied upon Allah and made them remember the day of judgment, when all will see the truth and receive the punishments and rewards earned in their present life. They asked thee concerning Dul al-Kainan. Say, I will rehearse to you something of his story. Verily, we established his power on earth, and we gave him the ways and the means to all ends. One such way he followed, until when he reached the setting of the sun, he found it set in a spring of murky water. Near it he found a people. We said, O Dul al-Kainan, thou hast authority either to punish them or to treat them with kindness. He said, whoever doth wrong, him shall we punish. Then shall he be sent back to his Lord, and he will punish him with a punishment unheard of before. But whoever believes and works righteousness, he shall have a goodly reward, and easy will be his task, as we order it by our command. Then followed he another way, until when he came to the rising of the sun, he found it rising on a people for whom we had provided no covering protection against the sun. He left them as they were. We completely understood what was before him. Then followed he another way, until when he reached a tract between 2 mountains, he found beneath them a people who scarcely understood a word. They said, O Dul-Kainan, the Gog and Magog people do great mischief on earth. Shall we then render thee tribute in order that thou mightest erect a barrier between us and them? He said, the power in which my Lord has established me is better than tribute. Help me therefore with strength and labor. I will erect a stronger barrier between you and them. Bring me blocks of iron at length. When he had filled up the space between the 2 steep mountainsides, he said, blow with your bellows. Then, when he had made it red as fire, he said, bring me that I may pour over it molten lead. Thus were they made powerless to scale it or to dig through it. He said, This is a mercy from my Lord. But when the promise of my Lord comes to pass, he will make it into dust, and the promise of my Lord is true. On that day, we shall leave them to surge like waves on one another. The trumpet will be blown, and we will collect them all together. And we shall present hell that day for the unbelievers to see, all spread out. Unbelievers